I'm just going to put a bit of a content warning on this because we're talking about the subject of trauma, and particularly childhood trauma. So just, yeah, look after yourselves out there. Verity, would you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Verity and I'm a radio DJ and music journalist and I work for SG1 Radio and I have two shows. I have the Emo and Alternative Hour, which is playing like all my favourite emo anthems. And on a Friday night, I play, it's called the Alternative Assault and it's playing all like brand new music, mostly from like grassroots music because music's my absolute passion. And I'm also a childhood sexual abuse survivor and I talk about that a lot, like non-stop, and yak everyone's ear off. So thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You're selling yourself short as well because you also ran groups, didn't you? Before
Yes,
that
I
too.
did. So I had a we didn't get to the point of being a charity. It's called Ask for Ariel. And basically it was a support group for childhood sexual abuse survivors. And unfortunately, because it is such a thing shrouded in shame, I think I kind of forgot that it's not that easy to come forward with things. Because I talk about it so much, it's almost like saying a shopping list now. But I kind of forgot about that. And also, I really wanted to get into schools and kind of if anyone needs to know about childhood sexual abuse, it's children, in a very kind of palatable way. You know, I kind of try to use things for the NSPCC, how they talk about it, and no one wants to touch it. So it's very, very hard trying to make space for survivors and trying to reach out to people who are still going through it when everybody is so full of shame and so scared to come forward. So this is a very good way of being able to talk about it, and make other people not feel so alone who have gone through it or are going through it.
Why do you think it is a thing? Because having worked with people who've kind of been through it, and especially as being an ex-professional, I've even found it really hard to ask about it and talk about it. And there's been a few times where there's almost been a block why I haven't done it, and I can't tell you why, to be honest. Verity, is it like a cultural thing, or why? Because it has such an impact on people.
I think the word that you just said, blocked,
Mm,
that's the perfect word to use. Like, so, right, if you think of our brain, okay, right, how many people love watching true crime? How many people love getting, I don't know, People magazine or Take a Break magazine, and it's like the worst of the worst, and we love looking at it and and taking it all in because we're one step removed. When it is somebody there, whether you know them professionally, whether you are helping them, whether they are your best friend, whether it makes it real. When you say childhood sexual abuse or sexual abuse, your brain is going to go to the worst of the worst. Like that's where our brain goes, worst of the worst. And then you go there and it feels so
yeah.
uncomfortable, it shuts it down and blocks it out. And then that's when the whole, oh, you're so brave, oh, you're so strong. It just, these set things because you want to get rid of it. You don't want to talk about it. And that's not you as a person. That is just how our brains work. They're meant to make you feel safe, not happy. And that's the thing. When there is a connection with somebody else, our brains can't process it and doesn't want to process it. You literally have to actively stop and sit with that uncomfortable feeling and ask the person who you're with, what do you need from me? Do you want to talk about this? So yeah, and I think that's why it's just not talked about because it's both sides. The victim and survivor um, kind of can't talk because they're so aware you feel uncomfortable. And then you can't talk because you're so aware you feel uncomfortable. And then it doesn't happen. So it is sitting with that feeling uncomfortable and knowing what the victim and survivor wants.
So there's almost like that crevasse, that sort of space between you that it's so hard to cross.
Hmm.
Someone's got to do it, haven't they? They've got to do it.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly that. It's exactly there's this barrier here, and it all boils down to feeling uncomfortable. And none of us like feeling uncomfortable.
No.
And that's what it is. It's kind of breaching that and kind of merging it together. And then the more you do it through like, and I kind of can say this through kind of experience, the more that you do it, the more you talk, the more you realize how many other people have been through it. When you talk, you give other people the permission to talk as well.
Yeah.
And it's just keep pushing through that uncomfortable feeling. You've just got to keep doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of works for you? What was the point where you kind of bridged that gap, where you kind of made things, because it all happens when you approach someone or someone approaches you, isn't it? That's where the recovery starts. That's where the good stuff happens. What was that point for you?
So obviously, like I was abused from the age of 6 to 17. Okay. And when I kind of say the age 6, like, you know, and I look at my children when they were 6, my God, you know, like that's atrocious. And again, anyone who's listening to this, their brain is going to think of any 6-year-old they've ever seen and they've ever known and think, oh my God, this is horrific. This is horrific. But for me, yes, it is horrific, but it's your normal and your brain works through it as your normal. So I was in silence. My biggest fear was anybody finding out about the abuse. So when it first happened, I remember looking in the mirror and doing this really weird smile, right? And I used to look back at it full of shame, look and doing this as if to say, like, oh my God, what was that? Oh my God. And then I realized I was genuinely innocent. I genuinely didn't know, but I used to feel so much shame with that reaction. Then as you get a bit older, so when you're kind of, let's say 10 and under, 11 and under, 12 and under, you are met with such, oh my God, people want to protect you and look after you. When you get to the age, kind of teenagery bit, something changes in people's brains. And it's like, oh, well, why didn't you tell somebody? Oh, why didn't you do this? And then that's when the shame creeps in.
Yeah.
And then, so then you still don't say anything. And then I remember getting to the age of 16 and being like, well, legally, I can consent now. So even more, you can't say anything because then I think, oh my God, people are going to think we're having an affair. This is how my brain works and how so many survivors' brain works. So you were stuck in silence, absolute silence, and you were stuck in shame. And you have built up this personality that is a barrier between what's going on. You become the most likable person. You do everything right. You try, you know, this was me, myself, trying to do everything right. So you build this wall. And then it gets to the point you can't keep up with that anymore. You can't do that anymore. So then it starts to break down. And I think for me, I went on a very self-destructive path, probably from the age of about 18 or 19. So that's when kind of I came forward at 17.
Yeah.
It took 2 years to go to court. I was one of the lucky ones that it got to court, and that he was put in prison. He was sentenced for 8 years, but he didn't do 8 years. But I'm seen as one of the lucky ones for that because I didn't have this worry anymore and this secret. You are left with this emptiness, which is actually worse than, I know it sounds ridiculous, it felt worse than the secret
Yeah.
because I didn't know this feeling. So I started filling it with whatever I can, kind of drinking. I didn't really do drugs or anything like that, but drinking, sleeping around a lot. And then I fell pregnant when I was 21. And I was told I'd never have children. The abuse was so bad when I had kind of scans when I was younger and things like that. They said I'd never have children. And I fell pregnant. And I genuinely believed if I didn't have my son, that I wouldn't be here today. But I think it was more for my son. I think I realized I had to start undoing all this stuff and talking to people. And I realized I think I hit gold with my friends.
Yeah.
When I said to them, this happened to me, I was met not with pity. I wasn't met with judgment. I was just met with, let's talk about it. And I genuinely think it was that. It was absolute luck that the first time I really spoke as me about it, that someone listened. And from then on, I just kept talking about it, no matter how uncomfortable it felt, and kept doing it and kept doing it. And to the point that, as you can tell, I don't shut up about it. So yeah, I think definitely depends. Not depends, but it helps with whoever you get to talk about it to. Definitely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that's like a wonderful kind of way to be if you are talking about mental health to anyone. Just be curious.
Yeah.
Just pretend you know nothing about them. Don't make assumptions. And it sounds like you had those friends, those people, you know.
I had my misfits and I was so lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was so lucky. Yeah.
So And it's what point did sort of the mental health side of things? I think a lot of people try. I mean, Kate, you're way more up to speed with trauma and stuff, but people can go through a lot of things for a long time before the actual almost kind of symptom side of it. We're very resilient things, humans. We can go through hell, and sometimes it's afterwards that when the dust settles, your brain goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna fuck up right now. Let's go."
Mhm.
And I guess that's that's quite common that until you get into like a safer space, your brain can't kind of process it. So while something's still going on, sometimes it's different to, when you're kind of out of it in some ways. So you often see adult survivors of things, things that have happened much earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I was going through it, um, I would say from the outside, oh, I was bubbly. People, oh, you're so bubbly. I was bubbly, I was confident, absolute straight A student. I helped my dear old Auntie Nellie down the stairs. Like, do you know what I mean? Like anything, such never got in trouble once. I didn't get one detention at school. Like and I thrived. Like, honestly, I thrived because I'd separated it. And it wasn't until afterwards, it was after the court case, after kind of it was like, oh, okay, my brain didn't know how to live with this newness. And it affects me now, even today, in the fact that if I've got something to worry about, oh, I'm like, I'm there, I've got it. I'm on it. My life is really, really good. When everything is calm and everything is stable, my mental health takes an absolute nosedive because I don't know how to cope in that. And I start getting really bad anxiety. Um, I start kind of going down to that little where you want a bed rot. Luckily, like I've got my children, I've got work that I love that stops me from doing that. I have a really good support network. But I always say I go kind of into the back cave where I won't message my friends for a while and things. And it's when things are calm and safe that I still really, really struggle to be able to cope with life. And I think that's a really important thing to touch on, that actually, when you go through the abuse, like you said, we are really resilient. Our brains literally take what's going on now and they do and deals with it and processes it. It's almost like when it's got no trauma to process, it's okay, well, let's make something because that's what we know. Um, yeah, so I think it's really important to touch on actually with survivors that we really struggle with calm. Yeah, really struggle with calm.
And it does make you very self-destructive. I suppose you get a lot of sabotage, don't you, with life, careers, relationship, because it's just really uncomfortable, isn't it, to be on top of
Yeah,
the world? It's just like when you're doing really well, you're like, this doesn't feel right.
no, that's it. It's like we are, no, what was it? There was something that I saw, and it was literally like it's not that we're afraid of being sad, it's like it's afraid of being happy because you feel like it could be taken away.
Yeah,
And that's it. And again, it's like you touched on the word, it's the uncomfortable. Our brains will do anything so that we don't feel uncomfortable. Whereas I think the biggest part is sitting with it. I
yeah,
always think you've got two brains. You've got your brain that just spouts off a reaction and because what it's learned, and then you've got to kind of just sit with that gap and then choose what you want to do, choose what you want to react. And that takes a lot of practice, but it does help. It does help. Our
Yeah,
brains are
so some
weird.
people talk about the idea of having your lizard brain, if you like, that sort of really primal kind of like thing that's just trained for like, stimulus response kind of thing.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
how do you interact with how do you use the other parts of your brain, I guess, to kind of
That's
understand
it.
what that's about.
So your first reaction isn't like your genuine reaction. And I have to keep telling myself that. Like if something like I kind of laugh at myself but not laugh at myself. I think, right, okay, everything that I've been through is horrific and like traumatic or whatever. And I don't look at that as like, I don't know, I don't have kind of, but I don't have any feelings about it. It's almost like it's something that happened. And I can look at it like that. But let's say, like, I don't know, like, I feel like somebody doesn't like me. Oh my God, it's like the most visceral feeling in my belly. Like, literally, like, I can feel it in every atom of my, and I'm just like, this is insane. Like, this is insane that I can go through all of that, okay, and just be like, that's all right, that's fine. but something that could be quite minute to somebody else, it triggers all those responses to the point that it's 0 to 10, and it's so visceral, and that's what I find really hard. I think a lot of survivors find really hard as well, is just not being able to kind of cope with everyday like rejection or just anything like that. It's the everyday that kind of might be quite little to other people. It feels a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone once described it to me as like it was a training course that I went on, and it was to do with like people who are emotionally dysregulated, as they call it, in like the people have big emotional reactions to like little things, and they said this is a bit metal, I think, this description. It's like having your skin on backwards and people throwing salt on you, like you get this real
my God,
oh, I love that
thing.
That's it. Oh my
I hate it too, but I love it.
Yeah,
that's right, isn't it? It is like this genuine, like the worst pain in this second, and you just kind of, and with me, I hold everything in. I don't lash out. I take everything in internally.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you saying that is it. That is full on it. Yeah, that's the emotion.
But it makes so much sense to be such straight A, to be so, because I mean people talk about fight flight, but also talk about freeze. But there's also a fourth one very few people talk about, which is compliance. And when people are like afraid, we do comply. People do stuff, because we don't want anything bad to happen to us, and we think we comply. They'll be okay. Something bad won't happen to us, and so when we mess up, we're kind of worried that something might happen to us, don't we? But we take it so out of context, don't we? And it's so ridiculous. Like it just really is, isn't it? And you're almost living in fear twice. It's like, I don't know. It's like living life in hard mode, isn't it? Because you can't mess up. You don't have the option.
You can't do anything wrong. Like I remember, like I remember, obviously, when I was younger, like the abuse was every single day. It was every night when I was like younger, because after school I used to go to my nan's, and then as I was older, after school and I could go home, it was after school before my mum got home, right? And so I used to think everything that I could do to make it not happen. So, kind of make sure everywhere was tidy, make sure, everything, because you try and gain control wherever you can, or like kind of, I like, so it was my mum's husband, so it was my stepdad. Obviously he was in my life all the time. And it was like, like just doing, if I tell jokes, if I make him laugh, if I kind of, you try everything that you can to stop it, because you're trying to just gain control. And then obviously I now I have OCD, and it's not kind of the whole like, oh no, I don't like it when it's not clean. Oh, I'm so OCD. It was literally, I used to have to wake up at 5:30 and do my curtains a certain amount of times and do all of this, because your brain is trying to do whatever it can to control. And you hitting on kind of the fact that you do everything you can, you try and do everything right, you try and do the right person, because be the right person so that you have an outcome that might happen. And that carries on as an adult. And you think, well, if I do X, Y, and Z, this person will like me. And if someone doesn't like you, they don't like you or whatever, you've got no control over that. But you can't understand why. If I do X, Y, and Z, then this will be the outcome. But the outcome doesn't always happen because of what you do. And then you're like, well, why? And you can't cope with it, and you have to sit with it and process it. So I'm actually really glad you mentioned that, because that has actually been a massive kind of part of my life, and with my mental health through that, trying to do whatever I can to control the situation to feel safe. But life isn't like that. So
No. I was going to say, conversely, there's always been a position where you either mess up. I'm only like recently getting better at it, to be honest. It's been years and years of just, if I made one mistake, I'd have to make all the mistakes. That would have to be it. It'd have to be. If I messed up at work, I'd need to leave my job. I need to leave town. I need to make new friends. I need to leave everything would just go, and it's like total obliteration. It's just like hit the button meme, you don't even get given a choice which button. You just hit
somebody. That's it. We're done.
Yeah,
cut. That's it. Because it's safe. Trying to keep safe.
But you're never going to get the practice, are you, to screw up? You never get the practice to then overcome that if you keep doing that, if you keep going through that cycle, because it's just starting again. So again and again and again.
Yeah, with a different personality next time. Because if I have a different personality, then maybe that one will work. And then you realise, no, you can't do that. But you can't.
That's fine.
No, that's it. That is it.
Yeah, they talk about the idea of being sort of chameleonic, that people sort of alter their personality to suit the needs of whoever it is they're with, and it's a kind of version of that compliance, I suppose, isn't it? To try and
Hmm.
especially if you're not really sure who you are in your own identity, then sort of
Yeah.
to kind of modify it. So, for the nerds, they just to keep it on the F theme, they sometimes call it the fawn response. I don't know if Baby Days actually do that, but that's what they
No,
call
it
it.
is. And I think that's the thing of the whole, like, why you feel so isolated and always like I've always felt kind of on the outside, and I do think it's because of that. So every kind of person that I met, get very, very good at mimicking and being the person they like and being the person they want to be. And so because you're always putting this mask on all the time, you never actually know who you are. And then you never actually feel part of something. So I had different friendship groups at school. And even though I was part of those groups, I never felt like I belonged on those groups because I wasn't me. And that carries on. Like I didn't know who I was. I think I've only known who I am really past 5, 6 years, I would say. Um, but yeah, it's you put on these different masks, and so you never feel like you really belong anywhere, and you feel like you're on the outside. And I think that goes again to the loneliness, that you feel like you can't come forward because you've perfected this mask, you've perfected this persona. How can you now shatter what everybody knows about you by coming forward and speaking? Um, and again, I think it's saying that victims and survivors, we all do, because it goes back to the whole tribe thing, isn't it? Not want to be thrown out from the tribe and stuff and be on your own because that meant instant death, and our brain still works that way. So I think that adds to the shame. It adds to not being able to come forward as well, definitely.
Have you found at all the metal communities kind of helped with that? Because that's kind of a tribe you can just join.
Oh my God, yes. I always
Yeah,
say my group of misfits
yeah.
because so like right, okay, so I was kind of, let's say, a normie. I was a normie up until the age of 12 when I watched The Craft. And I
Oh,
watched The
film.
Craft. Oh, I know. And then I was like, well, I'm a witch now.
Yeah,
I'm a witch now. So I was all goffed up, whatever, whatever. And then I
That's
had
the
this
We
like,
Are the Weirdos Mister one, isn't it? The
it
Craft.
is.
yeah,
It
Yeah,
is.
that's
yeah.
it. That's it.
My
Literally,
niece saw it last year and she's literally gone full goth now. It's wonderful. I'm so
my
proud.
daughter, she's not quite there yet, but when she's there, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, she's called Wednesday. You would have thought that,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
she's got the attitude. I tell you that she's got the attitude, but she's all unicorns with a little bit of goth at the moment. Um, but yeah, so I watched The Craft, and I was like, well, I'm a witch now. That's it. Okay. And goffed up, going to school all goffed up. And then I kind of met a different kind of group of friends because I think they were like, oh, goth, goth, goth. And I remember this guy called Adam, well, a boy at the time called Adam. He gave me this tape and it had Sum 41 and Marilyn Manson on it. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? I've never heard this. Because my older sister, I copied everything that she did, and she was all like indie and Blur and Oasis. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden, like this group of friends that I had, genuine misfits, like kind of, there was no having to pretend, there was nothing. And that kind of went. And then I went to college and I did drama and music at college. And I was more kind of made really, really good friends with the musicians. And again, when I listened to kind of like metal alternative music, it wasn't fake. It wasn't like, I don't know, let's say what you'd hear on, God, I'm showing my age now, but on the top 40, okay. It was like, oh, hanging out with my friends, going to the club, you know. When I listened to alternative music, it was real.
Yeah.
It was people's pain. It was people's happiness. And it was like, oh my God, for the first time ever, I was listening to honesty. And that just got me every single time. And then I'll be listening to more and more music, different bands, different artists, and I'd pick bits of like, oh my God, I feel like that. And it's the first time I think ever in my life where somebody else felt like I did. Somebody else was singing how they felt. They weren't just talking about going out on a night out or, crying over a boy or whatever. It was real pain. And I remember hearing Linkin Park for the first time, and that was just, it blew me away because I was like, someone knows me, someone sees me. And that's where kind of my obsession with kind of alternative metal music, emo music, all of it came from, because it was real and it felt like the first thing in my life that was real.
So it bridged the gap.
It bridged that gap. It bridged that gap. Yeah. Yeah. So it's always just been my constant, always, always. Yeah.
So you picked some songs for us, didn't you, for us to kind of discuss?
I did. Do you want me to, do
Some
you
of
want
them
me
are a
to
bit emo, maybe. Some of them.
Yeah.
have you got them written down, or do I need to find them? Because my brain is atrocious.
Ben, you sent them to me, didn't you? So let
I
me.
did send
I've screenshotted it because literally there were so many songs that I could have done and swapped over and changed and God knows what. I've screenshotted it.
Screenshot it.
Yeah, okay, I've got my songs in front of me.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So do you want me to like say them and why?
Yeah. So yeah, tell me what you picked and why you've chosen them.
Okay, so the first one is Girl Anachronism by the Dresden Dolls.
I'm glad you said that because I was looking at it going, how do you say that word?
I know literally so many times when I say it, if I'm on air, I'm like, so this song, so I love the Dresden Dolls, I love Amanda Palmer. Again, their music is just completely just, it's honest and it's raw and it's just, it makes you feel uncomfortable. Girl Anachronism kind of matches up how I felt as I was kind of older, when I was rebelling, when I wasn't being the perfect victim, when I wasn't being the perfect survivor, when I was being a mess. Um, and I felt there was so much judgment, because it's really funny how people go from, oh my God, we feel so, so sorry for you. Oh my God, oh, we're here for you. If you start behaving in any certain way that they kind of don't like, and you're not the perfect survivor, all of a sudden people don't like it and then judgment creeps in.
Yeah.
Girl Anachronism, that song is basically about someone being an absolute mess and how people speak around her. And I just heard that and I thought, yeah, that's how I feel. So yeah, and it's just an absolute banger of a song as well.
I love it because Amanda Palmer is just kicking the shit out of that piano, isn't she? It's so she's just absolutely hammering it all the way through. I feel sorry for her fingers, but
I went through a phase of wearing she used to wear like ripped black and white striped ties and
yeah,
wearing the stockings and band t-shirts, and I went through my
yeah.
phase of wearing those as well. Yeah, I love Amanda Palmer. Oh, I love Amanda Palmer. Yeah. But that was literally there's a line in it. It's like, I'll just excuse her for the day. It's just the way the medication makes her. And it's almost like a parent or somebody just trying to make excuses for their wayward child. And it just, yeah, it's just brilliant. So yeah, Girl Anachronism by the Dresden Dolls. Mhm.
So what we'll do is we'll do like a little playlist of your choices,
Yeah.
and like stick a link in or whatever because we're not allowed to play them on YouTube.
Oh God, I know. Guys, no, you can't do
Yeah.
that. So should I just work my way
Yeah,
through
yeah.
each?
Tell us what
Yeah,
else you've
what's
got.
next? What's next?
Okay, so what's next is Avenged Sevenfold Unholy Confessions.
Yeah.
So Avenged Sevenfold was my gateway band to tattoos and
Yeah.
and all of that. I remember watching Backcountry Video because I was very, very large when I was younger. I used food to like medicate myself. And there was these two ladies there, and they were like the same size as me, and they were covered in tattoos. And I was like, oh my God, they're so cool. And then this band and their music, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And they were so raw and they spoke so honestly. And when I heard Unholy Confessions, it did something to my insides. I was like, I love this song. So yeah, Unholy Confessions, definitely on that playlist. It was literally my gateway of, I think, into more metal rather than just emo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Unholy Confessions, Funeral for a Friend, Oblivion.
I love
And
this
I
tune.
think of that as emo, like funeral for a
Yeah.
friend. Yeah.
this is my screaming in the car whilst I'm crying, like snotty crying. Ah! And and it's always been the song. I think it came out around one of my lowest points, where things were really, really dark. And I heard this song, and that's how I felt. I felt like I couldn't see a future. I felt I was living not even day to day, literally just trying to get through each hour. And this song came out and that's how I felt like I was staring into oblivion. And so it's really strange. It was like this song, I loved it, but I couldn't listen to it as I was healing because it reminded me of that. Um, but there was a moment, it was Slam Dunk last year, and Funeral for a Friend were playing, and I'd just gone through a breakup from like my husband of like 10 years. And I was with my girls and they played that song and it turned into the most amazing, beautiful, like wonderful memory. And it's like everything had just come full circle. So that song is literally like so, so important to me. It was almost like that moment almost made this peace with this song that meant so much. It was very much catch-22, whether I could listen to it or not, because it reminded me of the darkest time of my life. And it used to kind of take me back there, but at the same time, it pulled me out the darkest time of my life.
Yeah.
But listening to it, it changed that whole memory. And I remember just standing in this field crying and screaming, and just it was beautiful. And I think only music can do that. So yeah, I don't know what that was. And okay, another song, City and Colour, Coming Home. So when I had my son, and he was a year and a half, and we moved into our first place together because I'd lived with my mum, stayed with my mum up until then. It was the first house that had felt like home, and it was mine. And
Right.
I was building a new life, and I was, I was a single parent. And every night after I put my eldest to bed, he would go to sleep listening to the Harry Potter theme soundtrack over and over and over again because of the autism, and then he'd go to sleep. I'd run myself a bath. I'd had to have this dead set routine every single night. And I always listened to City and Colour in the bath, but I'd always listen to Coming Home because it literally felt like for the first time in my life, I was literally like, I was home. I'd made a home for myself. Like I was okay and I was safe and I was doing it on my own. And there wasn't anybody else I was relying on to make me feel safe. I felt safe. So I see in Colour Coming Home. Just have my little taboo for it as well.
Oh,
And my last one is I Prevail, Bow Down, because going back to the whole thing of being a perfect victim, it's really funny. It's people want to help you when you are being the perfect victim and the perfect survivor. When you go off the rails a bit, then you get met with judgment. And then it's almost like it's only if you're a certain type of person, it's okay to speak about it without being looked at as if you're weird or that you're attention seeking or, whatever. And I think I'm probably quite privileged now that whenever I speak about it, I am met with oh my God, you're so brave. Oh my God, you're so this. Oh my God. You're met with that, which is good. Thank you. That's lovely. But also know there's so many people out there. This song makes me remember I don't need to people please. I don't need to be the perfect victim. I don't need to be the perfect survivor. There are going to things that I do between now until the end of my time that I'm going to mess up in and probably not going to be the perfect victim and survivor. I probably might go off the rails. Who knows what life is, but it is the fact that I still have the right to still talk about it. I still have the right to be who I am. And anybody who's told me otherwise, as that song said, it's to everyone who doubted, get on your knees and bow down. Like, that's it. I can do whatever I want. That's it. So that song is like my power song. Yeah.
Amazing.
fantastic.
Yeah, I like Hyper. I think they're great. Again, like a sort of great kind of gateway band for a lot of like younger people, like getting into.
Yeah, like my son, my 12-year-old. I'm like, just
Yeah,
listen to
let's
him.
start. Start
That's
early.
Just sow the seeds. Sow the seeds.
it. I mean, Wednesday knows all the song. Wednesday loves Ghost. Oh my God. I was sitting there in the car and she was singing Mary on a Cross. She knew all the words. And I was like, have they covered this? Is this like you think, oh, maybe is this like one of those, like, in the school assemblies and they have their little hymns? I was like, maybe it's like Cauliflower's Fluffy kind of thing. No, she's just listened to it and knows it. And I was like,
I mean, it would be cool if they did.
right.
Yeah. Could you imagine like a world where everyone's in sort of assembly together singing like One Step Closer or something like that?
Have you not
All
gone
kids
to
going.
assemblies?
We can.
Have you metal therapy assemblies.
Yeah.
Oh, don't, because then, that's the next thing I'll be
That'd
doing.
be the next thing. That's what I want. Like loads of
Heading
kids.
to schools going, right, we need to bring this in.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. But can we do that? Because then it could be a gateway. Because I wanted to try and get into
Yeah.
schools to teach, like speak to children.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Because there's a thing going back to sexual abuse stuffs. There's a thing that got me, and it was 1 to 2 children out of 20 will be a victim of sexual
Yeah.
abuse. That's at least one child
Way
in
more
every
common.
single class.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I look around and I take my kids to school, and I think, and that's why I was trying to get into schools and use the NSPCC, their pants, where, the very palatable things. If anyone needs to know about paedophiles, it's children, like let's be honest,
Yeah.
right? No schools wanted to touch it. And even a school around here was just kind of like, oh no, that doesn't happen at our school. Oh no, we've learned to look for signs. And it's like, there are no signs. I showed no signs. You can't look out for it. So maybe heavy metal therapy assemblies, singing, and then I'll be teaching all the things about what to look out for and that it's okay and safe to come forward. Yeah.
Verity's also throwing shapes at this point.
Yeah,
So
I know. I
Yeah,
know.
I can see, yeah.
On the audio.
I throw some in shapes. But yeah, I just think, for me, I think it's just so important. Again, talk to kids so it's normal.
Yeah.
Normalize it.
And it's true. It's so incredibly common. I think that was one of the most shocking things of all of it. Starting to work with survivors, actually how common it was, and just unbelievably so. And also you start to get to know sort of the experiences of people so well that people haven't even sort of spoken about it or disclosed it, but it's happened to them as well, because they seem to be following a very similar pattern, and a lot of experiences that you've described, and it's just not really talked about as much, and it's kind of outsourced to strangers as well, isn't it? So it must be...
Yeah, that's it. And I just think, it took a lot even for like me and my family to talk about the abuse. So like it obviously it doesn't just affect the victim, but people around the victim. So let's say like my mum is more than happy might be talking and say, my mum, she was in her own hell with this man, and they're very good. Like I think perpetrators are very, very good at keeping everyone very separate. And I always say it's very much like they're like the spider and it's in the web, and you're all stuck in your own bits and you can't quite reach each other. Everything's on a superficial level. Everyone feels alone. They're all in their own little bit of coercive control in different places. So my mum had all this guilt and all this shame, and that she should have known. And this is the thing I think as well. People say, well, if I was a parent, I would know. No, you wouldn't. Like honestly, because one, your brain isn't looking out for that, and two, they are very, very clever, right? But also my dad, I remember like it really affected me and my biological dad. He's like non-offending parent. Very much. My dad was a police officer and a sergeant, so it's his job to serve and protect, and he couldn't protect his daughter because he had no idea, and that has really weighed heavy on him, and it's affected our relationships. And I think it's so important that we do get this conversation going, starting from as young as possible, because the longer the damage goes on, the longer, and it spreads throughout your family, and everyone has their own issues with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I kind of found as well is a lot of people didn't really disclose, or it didn't really manifest. They'd held it for quite a long time until they had kids as well, or until they'd sort of reached their mid-30s, like early 40s, and then all of a sudden it just hit them like a truck, which is like a massively delayed reaction, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing, like you said, it does hit you, like you said, hits you like a truck. I think me having a child young kind of helped me with that, really, because I kind of had a child whilst I was healing in a really kind of strange way, and it kind of went from one thing to another to another to another very, very quickly. There wasn't like a break and then I had a child. It was like court case, couple of years of self-destruction, woo, child, and then kind of had to learn while I was healing. And actually it means it didn't hit me. I didn't get the hit like a ton of bricks. It was kind of this slow thing. But I think, again, how long it takes to talk about it, because again, when nobody asks you, how do you just come out with that?
Yeah.
How do you just go, oh, by the way, this happened? Because it is, again, you said about the block, there's this block and you're fighting against your own brain. Like, so again, like your brain is made to keep you safe, not happy. And it twists it. It thinks you're safe in silence. It thinks you're safe in the abuse because you're not dead. Like, that's how it goes. It's black and white. You're safe in that. But if you were to tell somebody, you don't know their reaction. You don't know what's going to happen afterwards. As a child, I used to think people would think I was having an affair with him, or I thought I'd get taken away by social services and never see my mum again. There's all these variables that I didn't know. So it is safer to keep silence. And I think it is when it hits you like a ton of bricks. I think when you get into your 30s, 40s, you become a little bit safer in who you are and your surroundings and everything like that. And then I think you realize you can say it.
Yeah.
And I think that's when it hits you. I think you find that safety then. You haven't got all the crap of your 20s of people pleasing and not knowing who you are. And that, God, I'd never go back to that hell again. But 30s, early 40s is okay, this is who we are. This is our life. We're a grown up now. Um, yeah, like, and I think, and you feel like you have to say it. I feel like you
Yeah.
feel like you say it.
I
And
don't
that's,
want to.
I don't want to tell
I don't
people
want.
I don't want to, but I know that I've got to because otherwise I'll take it to the grave. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And
Some people
it's,
do, don't they? Some people do take it to the grave, don't they? They do.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it weighs so heavy. Like I think as well, that's a massive trigger that no one talks about is when you have kids. I think especially having a daughter, there was a moment, so she's 7 now, and it was not last year, the year before. And obviously she was 6, and I looked at her and I think it really sent me spiraling for a good few months because I look at her and I think, oh my God, I was that age when it started. And I don't think you ever when you look at yourself, younger self, you never look at yourself as like innocent or anything like that. You don't, you just, oh, I did
Yeah.
that or whatever. And I looked at her and it really hit home how young I was and what I'd actually gone through. And I think that's the first time I actually realised what I'd gone through from maybe an out of body experience rather than my brain processing it. I kind of looked back at my younger self then, and that sent me spiraling for a good couple of months, I'd say. That was hard.
It's a long journey, isn't it? It's not like just it's not even a linear process. This kind of thing, like different things happen and hit you, and processing happens over time.
Yeah. Yeah, I said that. I was saying to my friend, there was something, like kind of, I've been like in a relationship for like 7 months, and it's like kind of being in a new relationship is like, oh, this is wonderful, but oh, look at all the trauma and the triggers that it brings up. And it's kind of, oh, look, let's carry on with our healing then, shall we? This is, it's like, oh, for goodness sakes, like,
It is.
right.
Am I done yet? No.
No, you're never done. And that's
When
what
will I
you
be done? When you die.
when am I done? When you die.
Yeah.
It is, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't think it's making peace of that. It is literally
Yeah.
going, oh, we're still messed up then, are we? Oh, brilliant. Okay,
It's,
right. What book do we need to read now? What
yeah.
therapist do we need to talk to now? Right. Okay.
I always see it's almost like weight training. It's like everything. It's so heavy when it starts out, and it is to a degree. It's always going to be heavy, but you get better at lifting it, about carrying it. You
Yeah, you lift bigger
condition
weights,
yourself
don't
to
you,
it.
over time?
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So, and you get your trainers involved, don't you? And they'll sort of help you out with it, and it doesn't necessarily get better. It does get easier.
yeah, I think you realize rather than it being, I think for me, realizing is looking at my brain as a computer.
Yeah,
The crazy, ridiculously overheated computer that is just trying its best to function and keep going on Windows 1997. And it's like, and it's if something happens, my brain reacts. And when I think, yeah, that's not actually making us happy though, so let's do this instead. And I think it's the practice, but it's also like we need as humans that intrinsic factor. So this is why I love like heavy metal therapy, and I so wish it was around when I was younger, because it's like If you're going to go, oh, you need to go to therapy, you just think, oh, you just think clinical, you think this, you think that. It doesn't do anything that kind of sets your soul on fire, which is like an intrinsic factor. It's like the whole, I don't know, like going to the gym, right? Oh, bloody hate going to the gym. But if you've got a really, really good playlist or something, you know you're going to feel good. That's your intrinsic factor. And it's finding those intrinsic factors. So it's, I don't know, let's say somebody, that are a survivor of sexual abuse, rather than listening to a 60-year-old man sitting there talking about sexual abuse and how to heal from it and therapy or whatever. They love metal music, love everything. I'd love them to listen to this and be like, oh, okay, I can resonate with this. Like that is the intrinsic factor. So I think a massive thing with healing is I'm not saying make it fun, but make it relevant to your interests. If you need, none of us like going out and having to fucking exercise, right? None of us actually want to, but if you can download an app and pretend you're being chased by zombies as you're running around, it's like that. And I think it's working with your brain, it's doing it. It's, yeah, you're never going to stop healing. You're never going to have to stop working on it up here, but just try and do something that just sets your soul on fire while you do it. Yeah.
Oh, but it can be fun. It can be
It
fun.
can
Yeah,
be.
playfulness, we decided,
Yeah.
haven't we, Ben, is very important.
Yeah, we do a thing about playfulness at some point. But I remember I remember in my teens one of the best times, early 20s, was when I'd be going out with mates and we'd go to like a ska night, and then one night and then 2 nights later, after the hangover and worn off from the last night, we go to the full metal night, and I'd be sort of dancing around and jumping around on the Thursday, and then on the Saturday night I'd be sort of screaming the lyrics to break stuff in people's faces, and then just like feel great by Sunday. And it was just like the most stable I'd felt for quite some time.
It is though. Do you know what I went to Papa Roach the other Friday, and my
Yeah,
poor other half, literally, I threw my bag at him and I was like, I'm gonna go crowd surfing.
yeah.
Literally pulled my bag at him and I was
Do
like,
it.
can you? And I was so scared, but
Yes, you can.
it was so fun and it
Yeah.
was so freeing. And yeah, and I think you've got to, I think you've just, it's those things that you just revert back to just basically being childish, and you have to do it. You have to do it.
Do it.
It's so
That
important.
that sounds like advice. Have you got any other sort of advice for any listeners who are going through it, or who
Or
want to support people
organisations
going
that you
through it,
think
or
are
organisations? Yeah.
good, you know.
Okay, so with organisations, obviously I had my Ask for Ariel organisation. I'd love to be able to go, hey, look, you can go over to there, but unfortunately, it's kind of like I said, it completely dwindled down. I think just kind of what helped me, I know it's ridiculous, is memes. Like over on Instagram and things, if you just write like sexual abuse survivor or anything like that, and have a look and see what works for you, because there could be something that I'm going, yes, this organization. Mind is amazing, obviously. Um, Samaritans, I'll always. Uproar is amazing. Obviously, heavy metal therapy. All of those, like for me, is they're the bangers. I'd say as advice, it would be is that you're not on your own, um, and that your brain really kind of does lie to you to make you feel like you are on your own. My inbox, obviously, email and alternative motives on Instagram is always open. I will always talk to survivors who need it, and I kind of get that kind of get a few messages every week. Just to talk through it. Obviously, I'm not a therapist. I can't give you advice or anything like that. But if you need help coming forward, I think as well, anyone listening who is friends or partner or whatever with somebody who's been through abuse, ask them what they need. Because actually, I think survivors, we're very aware of what we need. And we're very aware of our own thoughts and our own feelings and our own emotions because we've had to spend so long living in our own heads. It is actually reaching out and asking for that, because I think as a child we kind of never had that. We had to put everybody else's feelings and emotions first to feel safe. I would say as well, not one thing fits all in healing. Like we've said, like, I don't think you ever fully healed. I don't think any human beings ever fully healed. We've all been through trauma. We're all just getting through this crazy life. but try and see what works. Just because someone says you need to go to therapy, talking about it with a therapist has never really helped me that much, but trying to help somebody else helps me more than anything. Reading books, podcasts, learning about your own brain. I think like knowledge is key. So maybe look at the things that you do and that you don't like, or things that you want to change, and research it, because like you're the master of your own brain, even though it doesn't feel like it sometimes. And massively is that you're not alone and that you will be believed. I think that's one of the biggest things, is that you will be believed.